Without any special warning, this information exploded on social media and sparked a wave of reactions around the world. BTS's Jin will set foot in Tampa in the near future. But the main question is the ARMY really ready for what is coming? Jin's arrival this time is not just an ordinary appearance or a formal welcome from the fan community. Tampa is referred to as the starting point of something greater, the reintroduction of the genie into the world. The label was given away by several South Korean media outlets and reinforced by strong signals from official platforms such as Weverse and HITV labels, YouTube channel that began blocking mysterious time slots on the same day. This is no coincidence. This is a planned arrangement. More interesting, however, is not only the question of his arrival, but rather, what will he actually bring? A number of sources mention that there will be an unrepeatable surprise, an exclusive moment that will only happen once. Does this mean the appearance of a new song, a personal message to the ARMY, or even the symbolic presence of other BTS members in the form of videos or digital sayings? Since his discharge from the military, BTS's Jin has shown that he is not only returning as a member of the group, but also as a more mature, more strategic, and more prepared person to take an important position in the global entertainment industry map. Not a few observers call this moment a test of Jin's solo branding strength in the midst of the BTS ecosystem that is entering a transition phase. This is not about parting ways with BTS. It is about strengthening individual foundations without damaging collective buildings. However, in an entertainment world filled with manipulative narratives, a critical question must still be asked. Is this all purely for fans? Or is it just a media strategy to test the market? Does Tampa really have a special meaning? Or was it simply chosen because of its exposure value in the United States? There are no easy answers. It should be noted that information about this event comes from various media sources such as TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, to brief reports from local media and global fanbase accounts. But how accurate are these sources? Has this information been verified? Or are we being trapped in the euphoria of sensationalism controlled by algorithms and social trends for the ARMY that has started booking tickets, arranging lodging, and organizing welcome projects? This moment is an irreplaceable form of love. But behind it all, it is important to still leave room for reflection. Is what we are following a real event? Or is it just a carefully formed narrative for the sake of building the illusion of exclusivity? On an emotional level, Jin is known as the figure who has the most sincere bond with the ARMY. He once said that ARMY was half of his breath. Therefore, most fans are convinced that whatever will happen in Tampa, it comes from the heart of Jin himself. But in an industry as big as HYB's, there's always a hidden layer of interest behind big decisions. Tampa is not Seoul, not Tokyo, not even Los Angeles, but it was chosen as the first city in a new phase of Jin's career. That in itself is a question to ponder. Why is it not the city that has always been the main stage of BTS? Are there any signals of a shift in direction, both from Jin personally and from his agency? ARMYs around the world are now faced with situations that demand more than just emotional support. It is a moment that demands collective intelligence, critical observation, and rational consideration. Are we welcoming a new era of Jin? Or are we just taking part in a stage that has been designed to look like an authentic event? Furthermore, what exactly is the purpose of this event? If indeed Jin wanted to greet fans directly, why only one city? Why are the details of the show so secret? And if this is part of a massive promotion, where is the role of the national and international media that usually actively covers BTS? As an intelligent reader, you have the right to question. You need to know when to believe and when to wait for more concrete evidence. We all know that a fan base like ARMY's is powerful, but that power will be more meaningful when used to amplify clarity, not just emotion. One thing is for sure, Jin is not just an ordinary idol. He is a public figure with proven integrity, with unquestioning dedication. If he really prepared something in Tampa, then most likely it was a gift that he thought of himself with great love. But even love can be a commodity in the world of modern entertainment. Therefore, we invite all of you, whether as loyal fans, industry observers, or even skeptics, to watch this with open eyes, sharp minds, and alert hearts. Do not swallow all the information raw. Search,
Compare.
ask, and most importantly, if you want to get live updates from sources that monitor this in real time, please subscribe right now. Because only through this channel will you have exclusive access, first-hand footage, in-depth analysis, and real-life reactions from ARMY around the world when the genie actually shows up in Tampa. Surprises can come at any time. But what determines the impact is how prepared you are to deal with it. With logic, not just hope. Are you ready to welcome Jin with a cool head and a clear view? Or are you still stuck in a narrative that is not necessarily true? As Tampa's doors open to the genie, will you just watch from the screen, or will you become a part of actual history? We cannot close our eyes that most of the information that shapes public expectations for BTS Jin's arrival in Tampa comes from social media, TikTok, Twitter, X, YouTube, as well as a number of entertainment news channels that are not necessarily credible. Some fanbase accounts even spread pieces of information virally without official sources or confirmation from HITV, the label that houses Jin. In a situation like this, isn't it worth asking, is this pure momentum created by the genie, or is it just a collective scenario polished to look spectacular? Are the audience and readers really sure that Jin will perform with a big surprise in Tampa? Is there any concrete evidence, such as an official announcement, media invitation, or even direct confirmation from HITV or BTS? Or are we building expectations based on pieces of narrative that have no factual foundation? Admittedly, today's global entertainment industry is very used to playing with public emotions. Hype, mystery, and speculation have become part of marketing strategies used to maintain attention and increase exposure. By spreading riddles without a full explanation, the agency often manages to encourage viral organic conversations on various platforms. Then, in this context, is Genie's arrival in Tampa a real event, or is it just engineered to activate a larger promotional machine? Questions like these are very important to ask, not for the sake of doubting Jin's intentions as an individual, but to keep public reason healthy in the face of a flood of information. When euphoria dominates the digital space, many times we lose the ability to discern which is reality and which is the illusion that is formed collectively. Is there really a surprise that will be given by Jin? Or could it be that the term surprise itself was simply created to keep the public waiting, keep talking, and keep investing their attention toward a narrative that doesn't necessarily have substance? We are not accusing, but we would like to invite you all to reflect. To what extent have we become part of the circulation of unverified information? And to what extent do we, consciously or unconsciously, share pieces of information that are not yet clear? If the events in Tampa do happen, it's worth celebrating. However, if it turns out to end up only as an unfulfilled expectation, who should be responsible for the construction of this pervasive narrative? Media? Fanbase? Or our own consumption of trusting and disseminating information too quickly? A critical and reflective attitude is indispensable, especially in the context of pop culture increasingly controlled by data, algorithms, and digital sensations. In a world full of clickbait, how can we be sure that the news of the surprise genie in Tampa is not just part of a wave of sensationalism packaged in such a way as to create traffic, attention, and monetization? We do not claim that this news is fake. We also do not rule out the possibility that the incident will actually happen. However, we emphasize the importance of not believing right away, not spreading right away, and not dissolving in euphoria right away. Before all the facts are really available and verifiable, let's ask deeper. Who benefits the most from spreading this kind of information? Is this narrative in favor of transparency, or is it disguising something? Are fans like ARMY just a tool for the industry to roll out a specific agenda? And do we, as a discerning public, still have room to think clearly amid the noise of speculation? When information comes massively and unverified, then our task is not only as connoisseurs, but also as guardians of public reason. We cannot continue to be victims of narratives designed to create panic, excitement, or distraction. Therefore, before we really assume that BTS's Jin will bring a big surprise in Tampa, let's ask ourselves, have I been critical enough in filtering this information? Do I know who the original source of this news is? And am I ready to accept reality if it turns out that all this is not what I imagined? We respect ARMY's enthusiasm and sincere love for Jin. But mature love is one that is also capable of questioning, verifying, and protecting itself from information manipulation. In closing, we invite you all to spread awareness, not sensation. Spread verification, not speculation. And if you want to keep up to date with this information responsibly, make sure you subscribe now, as we will continue to provide updates that have gone through a rigorous analysis and verification process. Tampa might be history, but good history can only be written by those who are critical. Now, let's go deeper into the psychological and social aspects of this phenomenon. When information about a figure as popular as BTS's Jin spreads so quickly without a solid foundation for verification, the inevitable question is, what is really being controlled behind the scenes? In the post-truth era, emotions have become a powerful tool to sway public opinion. When social media becomes the main stage of information distribution, reality is no longer shaped by facts, but by perceptions constructed through mouth-watering narratives. In the case of Genie in Tampa, the narrative of the big surprise has been used intensively. But is there a single official documentation that can be used as a valid reference? We need to be honest, many of us want to believe that the genie will appear bringing something unforgettable. But desire is not evidence. Hope is not reality. And therein lies the biggest psychological trap in responding to news like this. The emergence of thousands of fan-made videos, pieces of rumors, and speculative interpretations could be not only a form of expression of love, but also a form of collective delusion unknowingly fostered by algorithmic mechanisms. Is it possible that certain parties, including artist management or organizers, are using this surprise issue as a market test strategy to gauge mass strength, revenue potential, or fan sentiment in a particular region? This is not an accusation, but a critical reflection worth pondering. Not only that, it is also necessary to observe how unrealistic expectations run the risk of creating mass disappointment if they are ultimately not met. We've seen things like this before. Canceled fan meeting, collaborations that turned out to be just rumors, or performances that didn't live up to expectations due to excessive speculation. Do we want that to happen again? We live in an age where truth can be defeated by popularity. The public, then, has a moral responsibility not to be part of the dissemination of news that is based solely on enthusiasm, not verification. The question now is, are we chasing the real moment? Or are we just chasing the illusion formed by the digital entertainment system? Is it really about Jin and the ARMY? Or is it precisely about how the industry is able to move the masses with one vague narrative? We're not asking you to be cynical. We are not debunking a conspiracy, but we invite you not to become a passive spectator. In the midst of a heavy flow of information, only those who are capable of critical thinking will not drown in a wave of illusions. So, before you share articles, videos, or comments related to Surprise Genie in Tampa, ask yourself, am I spreading facts, or am I prolonging the viral effect of something that isn't necessarily real? Finally, if it's true that the genie will be present and give you something surprising, let's welcome it happily, but with a cool head and a heart that is not easily burned by sensations. And if not, we have proven that as a community, the Army is not easily manipulated. Remember, we summarize this news from various sources: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter/X, and several other media. However, until this article was released, there has been no official confirmation from HYB or Big Hit regarding the event. Therefore, any information you receive, including from US, needs to be treated with a critical and reflective attitude. Please write your opinion in the comments. Do you think this is a real event or just a media maneuver? Are you ready to accept if the reality is different from expectations? And if you feel that information like this is important to continue analyzing objectively and professionally, don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss the next important update.